All right, welcome to three weight loss mistakes you need to avoid right now. So, before we get going, let me introduce myself. Ta-da! My name is Alan Amani, and just a quick background about me is that I have a master's in sport and exercise physiology. I'm a retired pro athlete due to injury, unfortunately. But more importantly, I have over 10 years of experience in training people both online and offline. I have trained thousands and thousands of clients, and I've inspired thousands of fat loss transformations. And today I wanted to go through these three mistakes, and they're all from my point of view. So this isn't obviously an exhaustive list, but this is all from my experience of dealing with people, and I really hope you find this valuable. In fact, I absolutely know you will, because I am telling you this because I know if you're watching this, then you're wanting to lose some weight. So it being the last couple of pounds, it being a whole, a real big transformation. And basically, I want to be able to help you because I'm in a really blessed position. I have a really successful business, particularly my online business with my alpha female transformation plan. And if I can help you avoid some of the pain and frustration that comes with losing weight, then you know what, that's a really cool thing for me to be able to do. And I'm really, really happy to do that because losing weight is a real big thing for a lot of people, not only physically but mentally as well. It can be stressful, it can be confusing, it can be very overwhelming. And basically you're just trying to do something positive in your life and make yourself look and feel better. And, which is fantastic, but there's so much information out there, both good and bad. And, it's very, very confusing. So I just wanted to kind of put this together for you today to cut through a lot of the rubbish that's out there and just to be genuinely be able to help you. So before we get into this, none of these mistakes you're obviously doing on purpose, right? It's with such easy access to information from magazines to internet, YouTube, everything like that. There's a wealth of information out there. So when I say these mistakes, then I'm not saying them to make you feel bad. I'm saying them so that you can be conscious of them, aware of them, and avoid them. Because if you do, then I can guarantee you will start losing fat quicker. And before we continue, and this last thing, and I will continue then, from here on in, we're not going to say weight loss anymore because weight loss can mean anything. It can mean losing water, it can mean losing muscle, it can be losing your connective tissue, so like ligaments and tendons, and you never want to lose these things, okay? So all you want to do is lose fat, not weight, fat. So I'm going to make that distinction from here on in and call it fat loss. So without further ado, let's get going. All right, mistake number one. Training too often. Now, this is a big one, all right? Probably the biggest one. So, again, imagine, and you might have done this yourself, you've decided that, right, I'm going to lose weight, I've a big event coming up, holidays or a wedding or, something that you need to look fabulous for. And you start absolutely smashing it in the gym. And it's probably the worst thing you could do, particularly cardio-wise. So, there's two types of cardio. There's LISS, which is low intensity steady state cardio. So, which would be anything from about 45 to 60 minutes. So you could be, jogging on a treadmill or plodding along on the cross trainer or something like that, or on a bike. And it's not the best use of your time, to be totally honest. So a lot of the time I see people smashing this, 5, 6, 7 days a week, and that could be almost up to 7 hours of your week. That's a whole working day of doing cardio. Now, the real thing about this is that it's the least optimum way of burning fat. All right, it's actually the worst way because it's so slow. It's such a slow process when you do this. So it's Yes, you will lose some weight because if you've never exercised, or if you haven't exercised in a long, long time, and then you start doing something, yeah, you will lose a bit of weight. However, it's not the best way. It's without a doubt, it's the slowest way. And another thing, and I'm being a little bit tongue in cheek by this, but I find it anyway boring. I find it so boring. I feel like a hamster on a wheel when I'm doing that type of thing. And it is important as well because if you don't find your training at least some way interesting, then realistically you're not going to stick with it, are you? So it's probably the worst way for sustainability and for getting results. So training too often is probably the biggest thing you're doing wrong right now. Right, mistake number two. And again, these three mistakes are probably go against conventional wisdom so that I'll tell you the mistake and you'll go, what? But then there's a reason behind it. So, which is a big reason why my alpha female plans are so successful because they go in the exact opposite of what a lot of people think, and which is why they get such amazing results and such permanent results as well. So, eating too little. Again, so obviously when it comes to food, it's all about calories, and that's a really simplistic view of it, and I'm not going to go too much into it today because that's an hour long presentation. So, but eating too little, all right, uh, again, due to magazines or models or these bloody people on Instagram putting up all sorts of things, the general public are convinced that if you need to lose fat, then ultimately you have to starve yourself, which is really bad. It's the worst thing. So because our metabolism runs on fuel, that fuel comes from food. So if you're eating less food, then your metabolism lowers. Now, if you don't know what your metabolism is, it is basically your engine, all right? It's how you run. So if that's low, then you're burning less and less energy. You're burning less and less fat. Nothing will change. So it is very important to try and find that balance, and I'll explain that in a moment, of getting good amount of quality calories in and whilst keeping them up. So when you eat less and less food, then your body basically goes into a state of starvation, right? It ends up hanging on to each and every bit of body fat you have stored around your body, right? Which is absolutely nuts. So you are literally starving yourself. But what you end up losing, so yeah, you might see some differences on the scales and such, but you're actually losing muscle. You're actually losing water. You're not losing any fat because your body's hanging onto it for dear life because basically you are starving yourself. So this is really important. So I really want you to take notice of this. And it's a kind of down and dirty way of calculating the exact amount of calories you need. Now, this isn't an exact science, and it does need a little bit of fine tuning, but it is a really good starting point. So, if you are an active female, all right, so let's say you're training regularly, but you're still not losing any weight, then a really good starting point would be to multiply your weight in pounds by 15. All right, that answer is what's called your baseline calories or your resting calories. If you're a sedentary female, so if you're a lady who hasn't trained in quite a while, you've been gaining quite a lot of weight, then a really good starting point for you would be multiplied by 12. So your weight in pounds multiplied by 12. Now, like I said, these are ballpark figures. If you're wanting to know exactly your baseline calories, then a really good thing to do would be to use this formula here, either the active or sedentary one, and use an app like MyFitnessPal and hit that amount of calories for every day for a week. Now, if you have gained weight, then you know that's a little bit too high. If you have lost weight, then you know it's a little bit too low. And if you've stayed the same, then you know you're exactly bang on. But there won't be much of a variation. So it's like I said, it's an excellent starting point. Now, here's the real thing, and here's the real kicker, and this is where people go really, really wrong. Once you find your resting calories, all right, your baseline, and I'm just going to pluck this number out of thin air, just because I can do the math in my head quite quickly. Let's say your baseline calories is 2,000, all right? Now, what a lot of people do, then they will look up and say, oh, girls should eat 1,500 calories, and therefore I need to be underneath that, so I'll eat 1,200 calories, which is a huge, huge, huge drop. It's a massive drop. But what's pretty amazing is that if you're 10% under your resting calories, so let's say take her 2,000, all right? If we're 10% under that, that's 200 calories under, which means 1,800. That has the same fat loss effect than being 50% under, all right? So think about it. So you can lose the same amount of weight by being 10% under your resting calories than actually halving them, right? Which is really insane. So why this is really important. Our bodies are really adaptable, all right? They're super, super smart. Eventually, no matter what you do, training-wise or eating-wise, your body will adapt. So if you cut 10% out of your 10% of your calories from your baseline, so let's take our 2,000, so we're on 1,800, you're losing weight, fantastic. Eventually your body will adapt. All right, it might take 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. It doesn't matter. It will adapt at some point. At that point, then you take another 10%. So from that 1,800, you take 10%, which is 180. And again, you start. So you have this gradual decrease of just skimming 10% off the top each time. Now, that won't seem like a big deal because as you are progressively losing weight yourself, then you'll actually need less and less calories. So it's not actually that difficult. However, if you halve your calories right now, then it's a massive drop. You're going to be hungry, you're going to be moody, you're going to feel like absolute rubbish. Again, our bodies will adapt. No, it'll take longer to adapt a 50% drop than it will 10%, granted. However, it will adapt. So let's say you were on a 2,000, let's take our 2,000 again. So you drop down to 1,000 straight away. Massive drop. Eventually, you will stop losing weight. All right. Again, a good few weeks in. What happens then? Do you drop it down to 800, 600, 500? You know, at what point do you stop, right? So it's a really, really dangerous and unsustainable way to just absolutely starve yourself like that and take this massive, massive plunge rather than using your 10% method here and taking it bit by bit. All right. So like I said, this part is really important and I really encourage you to try it. There's so many free apps out there that you can track your food. I always recommend MyFitnessPal. It's free and I think it does a really good job actually. It's in its early days it wasn't great, but it's gotten much, much better. Right, mistake number 3, right? We're getting there. Now, this is more of a misconception than a mistake. However, people do still make it, and I hope we'll dig into it a little bit, not totally. And like I said, hopefully it'll it'll change your kind of perception about it, which will help you move those couple of pounds or all those pounds that you want to lose. Not lifting heavy ass weights. All right, this is a big one. Girls lifting weights has become very, very trendy, which is great, right? But there still is a lot of people out there, and you might be one of them, that think if you lift weights, you'll end up looking like this lady here on the left. And when in reality, you're more than likely to end up looking like this lady on the right. Quick disclaimer, if you're wanting to look like that lady on the left, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I'm talking about the general population who wants to lose weight, who wants to tone up, wants to look better, wants to feel better in their clothes, all those things. So I'm not talking to athletic populations like the lady on the left. Right. Lifting heavy weights. Now, weightlifting has, first of all, it has changed in the minds of women from, oh, I can't lift weights because I get big and bulky. That type of mindset has been slowly but surely shifting, which is really, really cool. However, it's still not very well known that lifting heavy weights is way, way, way better for losing fat than anything else out there. And this isn't my opinion, this is 100% fact. It comes down to just really simple science, and I'll dig into that in a little bit. Not too much, again, because that's a huge, huge topic. I could be here all day. But this picture here on the left is a real kind of typical example. I'm sure you've seen all these memes on Instagram, Facebook, and such about lifting weights versus cardio. And as you can see, the girl on the left has much more shape, obviously a much bigger, rounder bum, much more toned legs compared to the girl here on the right. Obviously, neither are overweight. Obviously, both have very little body fat. However, lifting heavy weights will give you much more shape, right? So it burns more calories than cardio. Again, this isn't my opinion. This is 100% fact. So the even better, all right, is that it puts your metabolism through the roof, lifting heavy weights. And I explain that now and how and why. It burns calories up to 2 days, 48 hours after your training. So if you've trained on a Monday, let's say Monday evening, you are going to be burning fat up until Wednesday evening. That is a huge, huge, huge return for a 45-minute session to be burning fat for 48 hours afterwards. And the reason is, it's really simple. So muscle burns more calories at rest. So when you're sat down and you're doing nothing, your muscles are working away and they're burning calories. They're active. People who do lots and lots and lots of cardio have very, very, very little muscle. So therefore, they're burning less. All right. So if you go and train, let's say you say you trained on your Monday, and you've done big lifts, so things like deadlifts and squats and pull-ups. All right. All big muscles are working there. So big muscles like your hamstrings, which are the back of your legs, your quads, the front of your legs, your bum, your glutes, your whole entire back. All these big, massive, powerful muscles have just been worked in that session. They have now been excited and awoken, and they're, totally going 100 miles an hour. And because you've done that, they need to recover. What they're going to do is use the fat that you have stored within your body to help them recover. So that's how you end up actually burning the fat. Your biggest benefit is this afterburn effect. All right, very little. So when you hear, "Oh, I burnt, 1,000 calories in 1 hour," well, great, but I'm more concerned with how many calories you've burned after it, because that's what's going to dictate whether you've lost weight or not. And without doubt, it is the best, quickest, easiest, safest, I could go on, way of burning fat. And again, this isn't my opinion, this is absolute fact. So, are these mistakes that you are making? If they are, please come on, drop me a line. You can fire over an email here to alan@alanamani.com, and I will try, and I always make a huge, huge effort to reply to every email I get. So please drop me a line if you want to talk a little bit more about it, or want me to answer anything for you. I forgot to put that little feature in. Right. One bonus tip and a mistake that a lot of people make, particularly women, and you might be guilty of this as well, that women don't actually realize they are making. All right, and that's always a tricky one. If you're making mistakes that you don't know you're making, then you're in trouble. And it's all to do with your mindset. It's having a fixed mindset. So believing that something is the way it is and it's never going to change. And that is really, really debilitating. And it's definitely something that sets you up for failure. So having the wrong mindset is these negative self-thoughts about yourself. So within your circle of friends, do you see yourself as the fat girl? Or do you buy clothes that hide certain parts of your body? So, do you have this negative internal dialogue about yourself, about your body, about how you approach things? Because if you do, then nothing positive can come from that, right? And that's really, really important. Nothing positive can come from a negative mindset. So, kind of hating yourself slim, or by looking at yourself in the mirror and thinking, oh, I'm disgusting, I need to do that, I need to, that's not gonna work. All right, it's not going to work. I can guarantee it. I've seen it. It's something I've been guilty of myself in the past, until I've learned how to reframe and rethink my body and how I approach things. So learning how, first of all, recognize how you speak to yourself, right? Recognize if you have this negative internal dialogue, and if you do, just first of all, just be aware of it. After that, we can start changing that self-talk and become much more positive and much more enabling and much more inspirational and motivational then. But being aware of it, first of all, is a really, really important step. And again, this isn't something I'm going to go into today. It is a huge, 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 huge area. However, it is something I always look to work on with my clients, particularly the ladies who do the alpha female plan. It's a massive, massive thing. And once you have your mindset right, then you are guaranteed to succeed. You cannot fail if your mind is in the right place. Right, so we're coming to the end. So why don't we stop making the mistakes? Let's stop, right? If you are someone who's wanting to lose fat, again, remember, fat, not weight, permanently. If you're wanting to avoid the pain and frustration of dieting, of these silly, ridiculous things you see in magazines like Soup Diet and bloody Atkins Diet and this and that and the other, if you are finally wanting to change your mindset and how you approach your fat loss, then click this link below. All right, let's book in for a free discovery call. Now, I do have only limited availability, so if you're wanting to chat to me, then please follow that link. Do it as quickly as you can. My diary does get pretty busy, but I am really, really keen to help you. If you're wanting to learn more about my alpha female plan, and we can see how that might be able to help you, but please click that link, book in as quickly as you can, and we can catch up. I really hope you found this helpful and valuable. I really hope that you finally kind of break the back and wanting to start to lose weight and do it in the right way and do it properly. And I really hope that even if it's not me that you decide to do with, that's cool. However, if you do, then brilliant. I am really looking forward to starting to work with you. All right. Have a fantastic day. Hopefully I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.